Her name was Ava. She had been married to Derek for 7 years. She trusted him. She believed they were happy, or at least she thought they were. But she was wrong. Ava had inherited a beautiful necklace from her grandmother. It wasn't just expensive, it meant something to her. It reminded her of her childhood, her family, and the stories her grandmother used to tell. She kept it safe in a small box inside the bedroom closet. She didn't wear it often, but she liked knowing it was there. It gave her comfort. One day, it was gone. When she asked Derek if he had seen it, he told her he had taken it to get appraised for insurance purposes. He said it was safer that way, and Ava believed him. She didn't ask more questions. He smiled like nothing was wrong. Weeks later, Ava was scrolling through Instagram when something caught her attention. A friend had posted a picture from a beach resort. Another woman was tagged in the photo, a young woman, maybe in her 20s, wearing a red bikini and showing off new breast implants. But what made Ava freeze wasn't the bikini. It was the necklace around her neck, her grandmother's necklace. Ava stared at the screen. At first, she thought it couldn't be real. Then she zoomed in. She knew every detail of that necklace. There was no doubt it was hers. Now it was around the neck of a stranger. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. Something inside her went cold. She didn't say anything to Derek that night. He didn't come home, and she didn't ask why. She already knew. Instead, Ava started to observe quietly. She checked their bank statements. She looked at his location history. She watched the woman's social media. That's where she found the final clue, a comment under the photo that said, "Thanks, babe, for the new girls." That's where the money went. Derek had pawned her grandmother's heirloom to pay for his mistress's surgery. Ava didn't yell or break anything. She made phone calls, first to a lawyer, then to a real estate agent, then to a friend who had once told her, "If you ever need help, I'm here." She wasn't going to let this betrayal be the end. He thought she wouldn't find out. He thought she would accept it and move on. He thought she was weak. He had no idea who she really was. That night, Ava stood in front of the mirror. She didn't look broken. She didn't look angry. She looked ready. When Ava first met Derek, he was full of big dreams. He talked about starting his own business, about being his own boss, and living a life without limits. He had charm, confidence, and a way with words. Ava believed in him. She saw something good in him, and she wanted to help. At the time, Ava had just received her inheritance. It wasn't public knowledge, and she didn't flash her money around. But she had more than enough saved, enough to support herself comfortably. When Derek came to her with his business idea, she agreed to help. She didn't do it because she wanted anything in return. She did it because she loved him, and she trusted him. Derek told his friends and family that he built the company from scratch. People believed he was the one taking all the risks. Ava didn't say much. She let them think whatever they wanted. She stayed quiet when people praised him, even though she was the one who paid for the first office space, the equipment, the licenses, and the marketing. She even helped set up the bank account, but she never asked for credit. What most people didn't know was that Ava had signed everything properly. She had worked with a lawyer, read every line, and kept copies of every document. She wasn't just the supportive wife, she was a 50% owner. On paper, she was half of the business. But Derek never acted like that was true. He told her she didn't need to worry about the detail. He smiled and said, "Just trust me." Derek thought she was too soft, too gentle to care about contracts. He thought she was the type to leave everything to him. He believed she wouldn't ask questions. He thought she didn't understand business. He was wrong. Ava may not have bragged about her education, but she had taken business classes. She knew how to read a profit and loss sheet. She understood contracts, assets, and shares. She had done her homework before ever giving Derek a single dollar. For years, she watched him take the credit. She watched him buy nice clothes, expensive watches, and even a fancy car, all with money that had started from her inheritance. Ava didn't complain. She waited. She watched. She kept her name quiet, but she made sure it was always there, on the legal papers, the tax forms, and the partnership agreement. She didn't need praise. She just needed to protect herself. Derek thought he had all the power. He made jokes in front of their friends. "Ava just likes to take care of the home stuff," he'd say. "She doesn't worry about the business." Everyone laughed. Ava smiled too. But inside, she knew the truth. He thought she was just a wife. She was a partner. He thought she was clueless. She was prepared. He thought he owned the company. He didn't. He thought she wouldn't notice when things started going wrong. She noticed everything. It started with a photo. A picture of a place high above the city, full of light and space. Big windows, glass elevators, quiet hallways, and views that made the world feel small. The Langston Towers penthouse. A dream, maybe, but a clear one. Not for show, not for status, just peace. A place to breathe. She once showed it to him, just to see what he'd say. He laughed, called it too much, and said, "You don't even leave the apartment most days, babe." Then he moved on like it was nothing, the way he always did when something mattered to her. So she saved the photo. Quietly, secretly. and she kept looking at it when she needed to remember that her life could still be hers. There was no point in asking again. He wouldn't say yes, even if they had the money, especially if the idea came from her. He liked things a certain way, his way. Big things were for him. Small things were for her. That was how he saw it. She didn't argue. She just began to prepare. It started with cutting out little things. No more online shopping. No more small gifts for friends or takeout dinners when he forgot to cook. She opened a bank account in her own name. She added to it slowly, carefully. Sometimes just a little. Sometimes a bit more. Over time, it grew. Then came the truth. The kind that didn't leave room for question. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She sat very still. Everything inside her went quiet. Then she picked up her phone. First her lawyer. Then a real estate agent. She didn't need to think twice. She already knew what she wanted. Knew exactly which unit. She had read every word of the listing. Seen every photo 100 times. When the agent opened the doors, she stepped inside like she already lived there. White marble floors. Walls of glass. A view that went on forever. The sound of her own footsteps, soft and clear. Everything in place. Everything still. She didn't ask for anyone's opinion. She didn't wait for approval. She stood by the window and looked down at the streets below. The city kept moving, but up there, it was quiet. It felt like breathing for the first time. When the agent asked if she wanted to think about it, she just shook her head. No, she didn't need time. Not anymore. I'll take it, she said. That was all. No speeches. No scenes. Just a door opening and her walking through it. Ava waited. She didn't rush or shout. She didn't ask questions or demand answers. She kept quiet, like everything was normal. On the outside, she smiled. She acted like the same wife Derek thought she always was. Inside, she was calm and clear. Their wedding anniversary was coming up. Derek made a reservation at a nice restaurant. He told her to dress up, like he was doing something special. Ava said nothing. She smiled and nodded. She went shopping and found a dress he used to like. She had her hair done. She looked beautiful, just the way he liked, just the way he expected. Before they left for dinner, she handed him a box. Inside was a very expensive watch. He looked surprised. He hadn't bought her anything. At the restaurant, Derek acted proud. He ordered drinks and told the waiter it was their special day. He laughed and talked about work. He looked like a man who had it all. Money, success, a wife who still adored him. Ava sat across from him, quiet but smiling. She let him talk. She let him think he was still in control. Then, between bites of food, she leaned back and looked at him carefully. I spoke to a lawyer, she said. Her voice was calm. Not angry, not loud. Just steady. Derek froze a little. What for? He asked, laughing nervously. She didn't answer that. Instead, she kept going. I know about the necklace. The one you said was at the insurance office. His smile faded. I also know about her, she said, her tone still soft. I saw the photo. He put down his fork. Ava. She didn't let him finish. She reached into her purse and placed something on the table. A set of silver keys. What's that? He asked, confused. Keys to the penthouse, she said. Derek blinked. What penthouse? Langston Towers, she replied. Top floor. He shook his head. How? I bought it, she said. With the money from your company. The one I own half of. The one you forgot I helped start. The one you thought I didn't understand. Derek didn't speak. He looked like he didn't know whether to be angry or scared. Ava smiled just a little. She didn't need to explain anything else. She didn't ask for an apology. She didn't wait for him to deny it. She had already seen everything she needed to see. The waiter brought dessert, but neither of them touched it. Derek sat in silence, staring at the keys. Ava picked up her purse and stood up. She looked down at him one last time. Happy anniversary, she said, then turned and walked out. She didn't look back. Kayla sent the first message. It came through social media. Her profile was full of photos, beach trips, makeup, gym selfies, and brand name. She looked young, maybe 22 or 23. Her smile was wide, but her words were sharp. She said she was sorry if Ava was hurt, but claimed Derek deserved someone more passionate, someone who understood him better. She didn't sound sorry at all. Ava didn't reply right away. She read the message twice, then again. She didn't feel angry. She felt tired. But not the kind of tired that makes you weak. The kind that makes you done. Later that day, she wrote back. She thanked Kayla for reaching out and said it might help to talk in person. Kayla agreed right away and even suggested a cafe where she liked to be seen. Ava said yes. Before leaving, Ava checked her phone. She made sure the voice recording app was ready. She didn't plan to yell. She didn't plan to fight. She just wanted to listen. When Ava arrived, Kayla was already sitting at a corner table. She was dressed to be noticed. Her nails were done, her hair perfect, her lips glossy. She smiled like she had already won. Ava sat down. She didn't say much at first. Kayla did most of the talking. She spoke about Derek like he was some prize. She said he made her feel alive. She said Ava didn't understand how to keep a man like him. She laughed while saying it, as if the whole thing were a joke. She leaned forward and whispered that it was never about love, it was about fun. Then she pulled something out of her purse. The necklace. Ava saw it immediately. Her grandmother's necklace, the one Derek had stolen and pawned. Kayla was wearing it proudly, showing it off like it meant something to her. Ava smiled. "That's a beautiful piece," she said, her voice calm and kind. Kayla touched it and nodded. "He said it belonged to someone who didn't wear it anyway." Ava tilted her head slightly. "You should hold on to that," she said, still smiling. "It'll be Exhibit A." Kayla blinked. "What?" Ava didn't explain. She stood up slowly, thanked Kayla for the coffee, and walked out. She didn't need to say anything else. She had the recording. Every word. Every little detail. Kayla had told the whole story without even realizing it. Ava didn't have to ask a single question. When she got home, she saved the file. She backed it up in 2 places. She sent a copy to her lawyer. She looked at herself in the mirror afterward. No tears. No anger. Just peace. She had all the proof she needed. She woke up early while the sky was still soft with morning light. The room was quiet, still, and calm. She had everything ready the night before: documents, passwords, account numbers, and copies of legal papers. She didn't rush. She moved slowly, with focus, with purpose. This was the moment everything started to change. For years, the accounts had been shared. All the money from the business, the savings, the income, they were mixed. He always acted like it was all his. But it wasn't. Half of it was hers. She had the papers to prove it. He never cared about the paperwork. He assumed she didn't either. That had been his first mistake. She logged into the banking system. One by one, she reviewed every balance. Then, without pausing, she transferred half into an account with only her name on it. It was fast and simple. There was no need for a fight. No need for shouting. It was her right. Next, she froze the shared accounts. She clicked through the settings, entered the verification codes, signed the digital form. In just a few minutes, everything stopped. No more access. No more spending. No more surprises. By the time the calls started, it was already done. The first call came just after breakfast. Then another. Then several more. Each time, the name flashed on the screen. The ringing filled the room. But the phone stayed untouched. Messages came next. The first ones were casual, confused. A simple "hey," followed by "something's wrong with the card." Then slowly they changed. "Why can't I access the account?" turned into "what did you do?" And then finally, "please just answer." There was no reply. No explanation. No argument. Only silence. Later that day, one thing was sent back. An email. The subject line was short: invoice. The message inside was just as simple: 4, anniversary gift, luxury watch. Date of gift, date. Amount due, $19,000. Please arrange payment within 14 days. A copy of the original receipt was attached at the bottom. There were no extra words, no emotion, just facts. It was a reminder, quiet and clear. While he had given nothing that night, she had given something expensive. He smiled and took it without a thought. Now it had a price. After sending the message, the phone lit up again. More calls. More messages. None of them were opened. There was nothing left to say. The time for talking was over. The accounts were frozen. The balance was even. And he was finally starting to understand what losing control felt like. The messages kept coming. After the calls didn't work and the accounts stayed frozen, Derek changed his tone. He stopped asking and started warning. He sent a long message saying she had no right to touch the money. He told her he was speaking to a lawyer. He said he would sue if she didn't return what she took. Ava read the message once. Then she put her phone down and made tea. She didn't rush. She wasn't surprised. This was exactly the kind of thing she expected from him. When charm didn't work, he turned to pressure. When pressure didn't work, he used threats. But this time it wouldn't work. Years ago, before Derek's business even started, Ava had been studying. Quietly on her own, she had been taking classes part-time. At night, on weekends, whenever she could. She never told many people. Derek thought she was just doing some online reading. He never asked. He didn't care. He had no idea she had finished law school. No idea she had passed the bar. She had kept it private. She didn't need to tell him everything, especially not when he never listened. Now it was time to remind him. She opened her files and found the contract they both signed when the business started. The one she had written. The one he barely read. At the time, Derek had been too excited to care about the details. He just wanted the money to get started. Ava had offered to handle the paperwork. He said, "Sure, babe, I trust you." He signed it without thinking twice. She had kept a signed copy in a folder for years. Now she attached it to an email and sent it directly to him, with a short message. "You might want to show this to your lawyer." An hour later, she got a reply. But not from Derek. It came from the lawyer he had mentioned. It said, "Thank you for the clarification. We will not be moving forward at this time." That was it. No more threats. No more messages. Derek went quiet. Ava knew why. The contract clearly gave her more than half the business. She had majority control. It wasn't a guess. It wasn't a trick. It was legal, and she had every right to use it. So she did. She contacted the company's board. She sent the contract. She made sure everything was done properly. She didn't want to take over forever, just long enough to make it clear that she could. She stepped into the office like she belonged there, because she did. People looked surprised, but no one asked questions. She handled meetings, checked the numbers, and cleaned up the mess Derek had left behind. She didn't brag. She didn't shout. She didn't need to. Her name was already on the papers. And now no one could ignore it. Ava took the keys, signed the papers, and stepped into her new home. The penthouse was everything she hoped it would be: clean, open, and quiet. The walls were white, the floors smooth, and the windows stretched from floor to ceiling. She could see the whole city from up there, but the noise never reached her. For the first time in a long time, she felt calm. She took her time decorating. No clutter. No mess. Just space and light. She picked a few strong pieces, simple furniture, soft rugs, and artwork that made her feel still. Everything was chosen with care. She didn't want anything loud or bright. She wanted peace. The rooms were cool and elegant. No extras. No distractions. Just what she liked. She moved in alone, and she liked it that way. But after a few days, she felt something was missing. Not a person. Just a presence. So she went to a nearby shelter and looked at the dog. She wasn't looking for anything fancy. Just a quiet friend. She saw him in the back, small, scruffy, and shy. His tag said his name was Max, but she renamed him Dusty. She smiled to herself when she chose the name. Derek once said her grandmother's necklace was just collecting dust. Now she had Dusty, and he followed her from room to room, curling up near her feet every time she sat down. Ava gave him a soft bed in the corner of the living room, near the window. He liked watching the world below, just like she did. Meanwhile, Derek was living somewhere else. After everything happened, after the accounts, the contract, and the company, he had no place of his own. The apartment they used to share wasn't his anymore. His name wasn't on the new lease. His money wasn't enough to get something better. So he moved in with Kayla. Kayla had a small condo. It looked bigger in her pictures, thanks to filters and angles, but in real life, it was tight and full of things. Bright lights, fake plants, and shelves covered in makeup, candles, and phone stands. The space wasn't built for real living. It was built for photos. Derek didn't look happy there. Not in the posts, not in the background, not in the way he sat with slouched shoulders and blank eyes. Ava didn't care. She didn't watch closely. But sometimes people sent her screenshots. A new photo of Kayla holding up a smoothie, Derek standing behind her, half out of frame. Another one of them sitting on the floor, no couch in sight. The comments were all about how cute they looked, how perfect they seemed. But Ava didn't believe in perfect. She believed in quiet. She believed in having a door that locked and a view that couldn't be taken away. In the evenings, she sat on her balcony with a blanket over her legs and Dusty asleep at her feet. The sky changed colors slowly, and the city lights came on one by one. She didn't miss the past. She didn't miss him. She had everything she needed. A few weeks passed quietly. Ava stayed in the penthouse, enjoying the space and calm. She took long walks with Dusty, read in the mornings, and watched the sunset every evening. She didn't check Derek's social media. She didn't ask mutual friends about him. She simply moved on, step by step. One afternoon, there was a knock at the door. Ava opened it and saw Derek standing there, holding a bouquet of flowers. He looked nervous, unsure of what to say. His eyes searched the room behind her like he expected to be invited in. "Hi," he said softly. "I was in the area." Ava didn't say anything. She just looked at him. "I brought these," he added, holding out the flowers. They were nice, expensive. The kind he used to buy when he wanted to fix things quickly. She took them without a word, walked to the kitchen, and placed them in the sink. Not in a vase, just the sink. He followed her slowly, still standing near the door. "I've made mistakes," he said. "I know that. But we had good times too, right? Maybe we could talk. Just sit down for a bit." Ava leaned against the counter. She wasn't angry. She wasn't cold. She just looked calm and tired of hearing the same word. Derek kept talking. He said things like, "I didn't mean to hurt you," and "it just happened," and "I miss what we had." His voice was soft, like he thought kindness would change her mind. She waited until he stopped speaking. Then she said, "I'm seeing someone." Derek blinked. "What?" "My real estate agent," Ava said simply. "The one who showed me this place. We've been getting to know each other." He stared at her. "Are you serious?" She nodded. He didn't speak for a few seconds. His face changed. He looked confused, maybe hurt, but mostly surprised. He had come expecting her to be alone, to still be waiting. "I didn't come here to fight," he said quickly. "I just wanted to talk. Maybe fix things." Ava walked over to the door and opened it. "You can pick up the rest of your things," she said. "They're boxed and labeled. They're waiting in the lobby. You just have to sign at the front desk." He didn't move at first. Then he stepped forward like he had more to say. But Ava didn't let him speak again. I think it's best if we end it here, she said. Clean. Simple. He looked like he wanted to argue, but he didn't. He stepped out into the hallway, turned once to look at her, and then walked away. Ava closed the door gently. Dusty walked over and sat at her feet. She picked him up, carried him to the balcony, and sat down with him in her lap. The flowers stayed in the sink. The sky outside was quiet. She felt at peace. The courtroom was quiet. Ava sat straight, hands resting in her lap. Across from her sat Derek and Kayla. Kayla looked nervous, her eyes darting around. Derek looked tired. He didn't speak much, just stared at the table in front of him. The case was clear. Ava had proof. The necklace belonged to her. It was part of her grandmother's will. She had photos, documents, and even a recording where Kayla admitted Derek gave it to her. The lawyer presented everything. The judge listened carefully. Kayla tried to explain, but her words didn't help her. She said she didn't know the necklace was stolen. She said it was a gift, but the court didn't agree. It wasn't Derek's to give, and Kayla had no right to keep it. When the judge gave the final order, Kayla froze. Her hands curled into fists. She turned to Derek, her face red with anger. He didn't look at her. He just sat there, quiet, his shoulders low. He had no fight left. A bailiff brought the necklace to Ava in a small velvet box. She opened it gently. It looked just like she remembered. The gold still shined, and the stones caught the light. It had once been taken from her without a word. Now it was back, and this time, no one could touch it. She closed the box, stood up, and left the courtroom. She didn't say anything to them. No smile. No gloating. Just calm steps and a quiet exit. Back at the penthouse, the city lights were starting to glow. The sky was turning soft with evening. Ava walked out to the balcony, holding a glass of champagne in one hand. In the other, she held the velvet box. Dusty lay at her feet, resting his head on her toes. She didn't feel rushed or loud inside, just steady. Everything that had been taken from her, everything that had been used against her, none of it mattered anymore. She opened the box once more, looked at the necklace, then placed it carefully in a drawer. It was home now. Safe. She sat down, leaned back, and watched the skyline. She had lost a lot. Time, trust, peace. But now she had space. She had silence. She had her name back. Her power. She didn't just get through it. She won. If Ava's story made you feel strong, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Every woman should know. You are not a joke. You are powerful. Tag a friend who needs to hear this. Let this remind her how strong she really is. Like, comment, and share if you believe in Ava, and in every woman who chooses herself.